They say aging is inevitable. But what if I told you that losing your strength isn't? By the time you turn 70, you may have already lost up to 40% of your muscle mass. And most people don't even realize it until it's too late. Not because of illness, not because of an accident, but because of something much quieter and much more dangerous. A slow, silent erosion of your independence. It's called sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. And it's happening to millions of seniors right now. Every day, without warning, it chips away at your ability to climb stairs, carry groceries, even rise from a chair. And here's the shocking part. Much of this decline isn't caused by aging. It's caused by something missing from your diet. Today's video isn't just about vitamins. It's about your future. Backhand index pointing right if you've ever felt weaker lately. Backhand index pointing right if you've had trouble with balance or everyday tasks. Backhand index pointing right. Or if someone you love has started relying on others more than they used to, then this video could be the turning point. We're going to break down the 6 most overlooked nutrients that have been scientifically shown to slow, stop, and even reverse muscle loss, even in people in their 70s and 80s. You'll hear the facts, the real-life examples, and what you can start doing today. And by the end of this video, you'll walk away with more than just knowledge. You'll have a plan. Before we begin, let's ask you, have you or someone you know ever struggled with weakness, fatigue, or balance in older age? Drop a comment below. We're listening. And if you find this video helpful, please give a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Let's get started. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning and realize your muscles are gone. It's much slower than that. So slow, in fact, that most people never notice until they try to do something they used to do with ease. And suddenly they can't. This is sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. And while the name sounds clinical, its effects are anything but. By age 70, the average adult has lost nearly 40% of their muscle mass. By age 80, many have lost over half. That's not just a statistic. That's the reason someone who once walked a mile every morning now avoids stairs. That's why a simple fall can turn into a life-altering injury. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold was 73, a proud former firefighter, strong as ever in his mind. But one afternoon, while reaching for a jar on the top shelf, he lost his balance. There was no major injury, just a bruise on his hip and a harsh reality check. His doctor later explained that his muscles had been fading for years. He just hadn't noticed. His story is far from unique. In fact, it's becoming alarmingly common. So why don't more people talk about sarcopenia? Because it wears a disguise. People chalk it up to normal aging. They think, of course I'm getting slower, I'm getting older. But here's the truth. Muscle loss is common, but it is not inevitable. And more importantly, it is not untreatable. This is the part no one tells you. You can rebuild strength. You can stay independent. But it starts by recognizing what's been quietly taken from you and fighting to get it back. So what's actually behind this silent thief? What's accelerating muscle loss for millions of seniors, often without them realizing it? That leads us to the first, and perhaps most overlooked, piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about a compound that powers every muscle contraction in your body, and why most seniors are dangerously low in it. CoQ10. When we talk about muscle loss in older adults, people often think of it as just a matter of feeling tired or not being as strong as they used to be. But the truth is, it's much more than that. It's not just about weakness. It's about independence. Think about the little things you do every day. Getting out of bed without pushing with your arms. Standing up from a low chair without help. Carrying groceries from the car. Catching yourself if you trip on a rug. Now imagine struggling with all of that. Studies show that seniors with significant muscle loss face a 320% higher risk of becoming physically disabled. That's not just a number. That's the difference between living in your home and moving into assisted care, between freedom and dependence. Let me tell you about Elaine. Elaine was 79 and had always been active, walking around her block every morning. One day, she slipped on her front porch, not because of a serious accident, but because her legs simply didn't respond fast enough to catch her balance. She didn't break a bone. But she did lose something else. Her confidence. She stopped walking as much. Stopped gardening. Within months, she relied on her daughter just to get around the grocery store. And it all started with muscle loss that had been quietly building for years. The greatest threat muscle loss poses is that it makes you feel like you have no choice but to give up parts of your life. That's why we must stop thinking of muscle as just for the young and start recognizing it for what it really is, your lifeline to independence. And here's the hopeful part. You don't need to become a bodybuilder to take it back. Sometimes, the smallest changes in nutrition can create the biggest difference in mobility, balance, and energy. So what's the next step? Let's look at the nutrients that fuel your body's energy engines, the ones that power your muscles from within. It all starts with a compound found in every muscle cell, but one that depletes drastically with age, especially if you're taking cholesterol medication. Let's talk about CoQ10 and why it may be one of the most important things missing from your routine. Your muscles aren't just bundles of fibers. They're living engines, and every engine needs fuel. But not just any fuel. They need energy at the cellular level, and that's where one often overlooked nutrient plays a powerful role. It's called CoQ10, short for coenzyme Q10. And if you're over 60, chances are you don't have enough of it. So what exactly is CoQ10? CoQ10 is a natural compound found in the mitochondria, the powerhouses inside your muscle cells. It helps your body convert nutrients into usable energy, specifically ADP, the fuel your muscles rely on to contract, move, and recover. But here's the problem. After age 60, CoQ10 levels can drop by as much as 65%. And if you're taking statin drugs for cholesterol, that drop can happen even faster. It's a bit like taking the battery out of your car and expecting it to start anyway. Let's take a look at Robert's story. Robert, 68, had been on statins for years. He was careful with his diet, went on daily walks, but started feeling exhausted. He chalked it up to aging, until one day he couldn't walk up his driveway without needing to sit. A routine test revealed nothing serious. But a new doctor asked a different question. Are you supplementing CoQ10? He wasn't. Within 3 weeks of starting a high-absorption CoQ10 supplement, Robert's energy began to return. He even rejoined his senior hiking group by the end of the month. Here's the takeaway. Fatigue isn't always about age. Sometimes it's about energy, and energy starts at the cellular level. This is especially true for seniors who take medications that block your body's natural ability to produce CoQ10. So how much do you need? For most older adults, 100 to 200 milligrams daily is ideal. If you're on statins, 200 to 300 milligrams is often more effective. And while CoQ10 exists in small amounts in foods like organ meats and fatty fish, you'd have to eat pounds of it daily to match what a supplement provides. Look for the ubiquinol form of CoQ10. This is the active, ready-to-use form your body prefers. And choose formulas with biopurine black pepper extract to boost absorption. Now that we've talked about energy production, let's explore another nutrient that impacts muscle strength and coordination, especially for those struggling with balance or frequent falls. Let's talk about the sunshine vitamin and why vitamin D is absolutely essential for preserving your muscle power. When most people think about vitamin D, they think about bones. And it's true. Vitamin D plays a critical role in keeping your bones strong. But if that's all you know about it, you're missing a major part of the story. Because vitamin D isn't just a bone builder. It's a muscle protector. And for seniors, it could be the difference between standing tall or struggling to stand at all. Here's why it matters. Vitamin D interacts directly with receptors in your muscle tissue. These receptors help your muscles contract properly, respond to movement, and stay coordinated. But when your vitamin D levels are low, those receptors go quiet. And when they go quiet, your strength fades, your balance weakens, and your risk of falling skyrockets. Let me share Dorothy's story. Dorothy was 81 and had never broken a bone in her life. But over the course of 1 year, she had 3 minor falls in her kitchen. Nothing serious. Until one day, she fell trying to open the dishwasher and fractured her hip. After her hospital stay, blood tests revealed she had extremely low vitamin D levels, despite being healthy otherwise. Her doctor explained that her muscles weren't failing her. Her body simply wasn't getting the signal to move the way it used to. This isn't uncommon. More than 40% of older adults in the U.S. have vitamin D deficiency, and the number is even higher in those who are homebound, living in northern or cloudy climates, or rarely outside without sunscreen. Here's the good news. Restoring vitamin D levels has been shown to improve muscle strength, balance, and reduce the risk of falls by up to 20%. So what can you do? The recommended daily intake for seniors is 800 to 1,000 IU, but many experts now suggest 1,000 to 2,000 IU daily, especially for those with limited sun exposure. Look for supplements that contain vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, which is 87% more effective than D2 at raising blood levels. And if you prefer a liquid option, choose one that uses a healthy fat-based carrier oil, like olive oil, for better absorption. Here's a simple test. If you've been feeling unexplained fatigue, muscle weakness, or trouble with balance, it might be time to ask your doctor for a vitamin D blood test, because what looks like aging might just be deficiency. Now that we've covered strength and balance, let's move on to something just as vital, the connection between your brain and your muscles. If the nerves in your body can't communicate clearly with your muscles, no amount of energy or vitamin D will help. That's why our next nutrient is essential, especially as we age. Let's talk about vitamin B12 and how it protects the wiring between your body and your strength. Your brain is sharp. Your muscles are still capable. But if the wiring between the two is frayed, even the simplest movement can become a struggle. That wiring is your nervous system, and to function properly, it relies on one often forgotten vitamin, vitamin B12. B12 is essential for production and maintenance of myelin, the protective sheet that surrounds your nerves like the insulation on electrical wires. When myelin begins to break down, your nerve signals slow down, weaken, or go haywire. And when that happens, your muscles might still be strong, but they no longer get clear instructions from your brain. Let me introduce you to Tom. Tom was 66, active, and proud to still mow his own lawn. Then he started noticing strange things. He'd trip over nothing. His hands would shake while drinking coffee. Eventually, he started forgetting simple motor patterns, like which foot to step with first when climbing stairs. He feared the worst, early Parkinson's or dementia, but blood work revealed something far simpler, a severe B12 deficiency, caused by years of silent absorption issues he didn't even know he had. After just a few weeks of targeted B12 treatment, Tom saw a major improvement. His coordination returned. His energy rose. His confidence followed. Here's what you need to know. As we age, our ability to absorb B12 from food declines, especially for those with low stomach acid, digestive conditions, or medications like metformin or proton pump inhibitors. Up to 30% of adults over 50 have a condition called atrophic gastritis, making it nearly impossible to absorb B12 properly from food alone. And yet, many seniors mistake the signs, fatigue, poor balance, tremors, memory issues, as just getting old. So what's the fix? The recommended intake is 2.4 micrograms per day, but most seniors benefit from higher supplemental doses. Due to poor absorption, look for methylcobalamin, the active form of B12 that stays in your body longer and bypasses some digestive hurdles. Choose sublingual tablets or sprays that dissolve under the tongue, letting the vitamin absorb directly into your bloodstream. Here's the takeaway. It's not always your muscles that are failing you. Sometimes it's your messenger system that's breaking down. Getting the right signals from your brain to your body is essential, but now let's talk about how those muscles are physically held together. There's one vitamin that helps build and preserve the structure around your muscles, the scaffolding that keeps them supported, stable, and strong. Let's dive into vitamin C and why it's far more than just an immune booster. When someone says vitamin C, most people think of fighting off colds or maybe a glass of orange juice. But if you're over 60 and your muscles feel weaker than they used to, vitamin C might be doing far more than keeping sniffles at bay. In fact, it might be the missing link in your muscle health. Here's the truth. Vitamin C is essential for producing collagen, a protein that acts like the scaffolding for your muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Collagen doesn't just hold your skin firm. It holds your muscles together, keeping them stable, strong, and resistant to injury. Without enough vitamin C, your muscle tissues become less supported, more fragile, and more prone to tears, instability, and loss of function. Let's talk about Martha, age 76. Martha had always prided herself on being active, but over a year, she began to notice things. Her grip was weakening. Opening jars became harder. Her arms tired quickly, even when brushing her hair. It wasn't until her doctor ran a micronutrient panel that they found it, a chronic vitamin C deficiency that had been silently degrading her connective tissues. Martha began supplementing daily. But more importantly, she started adding fresh citrus, peppers, and berries to her meals. And within a few months, she not only felt stronger, she felt more stable, like her body was coming back together, in her words. But the benefits of vitamin C go even deeper. It's a powerful antioxidant, protecting your muscle cells from oxidative damage, something that accelerates with age. It plays a key role in creating carnitine, which helps convert fat into energy inside your muscles. And higher levels of vitamin C have been linked to improve grip strength and reduce risk of frailty in older adults. So what can you do? The basic recommendation is 75 to 90 mg/day. But many experts now suggest 200 to 400 mg/day for optimal muscle support. Because your body doesn't store vitamin C, you need to replenish it daily. Look for supplements that combine ascorbic acid with citrus flavonoids for better absorption and longer-lasting activity in your muscle tissues. And always remember, food first. Bell peppers, broccoli, strawberries, oranges, kiwi, and tomatoes are all excellent sources. Here's the big takeaway. Strong muscles aren't just about what they can do, they're also about what holds them together. And now that we've talked about strength, structure, and signaling, there's one more element we can't ignore. Relaxation. Your muscles need to contract. Yes, but they also need to let go. Let's talk about the quiet hero of muscle recovery and why so many seniors are running low on it without even knowing. Up next, magnesium. When we think about muscle strength, we often think about building, lifting, contracting, powering through. But there's another side to muscle health, one that's just as important and often overlooked, the ability to relax. And for that, your body needs one essential mineral, magnesium. Magnesium is like the switch that turns off a muscle contraction. It helps your muscles release, recover, and repair. Without enough magnesium, your muscles stay partially contracted. That's what causes the tightness, cramps, spasms, and fatigue that so many older adults brush off as just getting old. But what if it's not age? What if it's magnesium? Let me tell you about Linda, 74. Linda started waking up every night with painful leg cramps. At first, she thought she was dehydrated. She drank more water. It didn't help. Her doctor ran basic blood tests. Nothing unusual, but a nutrition specialist finally looked deeper and found severely low magnesium levels. Once she started supplementing with the right form of magnesium glycinate, the cramps stopped within 2 weeks. And more surprisingly, her daytime fatigue lifted and her walking endurance improved. Here's the science behind it. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body. It supports ATP production. That's the energy your muscles run on. It regulates calcium balance, preventing overstimulation of your nerves and muscles. And it's critical for protein synthesis, the very building blocks of muscle repair. Even a mild deficiency can accelerate muscle breakdown and make recovery feel impossible. So why are so many older adults deficient? Magnesium is easily depleted by common medications like diuretics, proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole, certain antibiotics. And dietary intake isn't always enough, especially for those with digestive issues or poor absorption. What should you aim for? Women 65 plus need around 320 milligrams per day, and men need about 420 milligrams per day. Look for magnesium glycinate or citrate, forms that are better absorbed and gentler on the stomach than the more common and harsher magnesium oxide. And while foods like leafy greens, seeds, beans, and whole grains are helpful, most seniors still need a supplement to close the gap. Here's the simple truth. Your muscles don't just need power, they need peace. And magnesium helps bring both. So far, we've talked about nutrients that support, strengthen, and stabilize your muscles. But now, it's time to talk about one that actively builds them back, even after age 60. Let's talk about creatine and why it's not just for young athletes anymore. If you've ever walked down the supplement aisle at your local store, you've probably seen creatine stacked near the muscle powders, marketed to 20-somethings who live in the gym. So it might surprise you to learn, creatine isn't just for bodybuilders. In fact, it might be one of the most powerful tools seniors can use to regain muscle strength and independence. Here's how it works. Creatine helps your muscles recycle and restore ATP, your body's main energy source for short bursts of movement. Things like rising from a chair, climbing stairs, catching yourself from a fall, opening a stuck jar. As we age, our natural phosphocreatine reserves decline, making these movements harder, slower, and more tiring. Now here's the breakthrough. Studies show that creatine supplementation, even without intense workouts, can increase muscle strength by 14% and add 2.2 pounds of lean mass in just 12 weeks for seniors over 60. That's not just a number. That's daily life restored. Take Frank, 71. After a slow recovery from knee surgery, Frank was struggling with mobility. He tried physical therapy, but progress was slow. His therapist suggested a low-dose creatine supplement. Frank was skeptical. "Isn't that for athletes?" he asked. But within 6 weeks, he noticed real changes. He could rise from the couch without pushing off his thighs. He walked longer distances without resting. And most importantly, he felt hope again. Here's the best part. Creatine is naturally found in red meat and fish, but you have to eat 2.5 pounds of beef daily to reach therapeutic levels. Seniors don't need a loading phase like young athletes. Just 3 to 5 grams per day is safe and effective. Choose micronized creatine monohydrate. It dissolves better and is easier to absorb, especially for older adults. And if you're worried about safety, over 200 clinical studies have confirmed creatine safety, even for long-term use in older adults. Bonus, new research even suggests it may support brain health and cognitive function as well. Here's your lesson for today. It's never too late to rebuild, and sometimes the key to moving forward is hidden in a supplement you thought wasn't for you. So now we've talked about energy, strength, stability, signaling, and repair. But what happens when you combine all 6 of these nutrients? The result is greater than the sum of its parts, a synergistic effect that transforms not just your muscles, but your mobility and your future. Let's bring it all together in one final, powerful reminder. By now, you've learned how 6 key nutrients, CoQ10, vitamin D, B12, vitamin C, magnesium, and creatine, each play a powerful role in muscle health. But here's something even more important. They're not meant to work alone. Just like your muscles, bones, and nerves rely on one another, these nutrients form a team, working in harmony to keep your body strong, balanced, and energized. Think of it like this. CoQ10 powers the engine inside each muscle cell. Vitamin D strengthens muscle response and balance. B12 makes sure your nerves are sending the right signals. Vitamin C holds everything together with structural support. Magnesium allows your muscles to relax and recover. Creatine helps rebuild what time and stress have taken away. Alone, each nutrient helps. Together, they transform how you move, how you feel, and how you age. Let's take Jeanette, 68. For years, she lived with what she thought was normal aging, slowing down, aching muscles, and random fatigue. But when her daughter introduced her to a holistic doctor who evaluated her nutrition, everything changed. Jeanette didn't just add one supplement. She added a system. Over the course of 3 months, she improved her balance, reclaimed her strength, walked daily again without fear of falling, and most importantly, she felt independent again. Her body didn't need a miracle. It just needed the right support, working together. Here's your takeaway. Health isn't about chasing magic pills. It's about understanding the interconnected puzzle pieces and giving your body the full picture it needs to heal. If you're only addressing one piece of the problem, you may never see full results. But when you give your body what it's truly missing, you unlock something powerful: resilience. So as we head into our final thoughts, take a moment to ask yourself, are you giving your muscles what they need, or just asking them to survive on what's left? In our last segment, we'll wrap everything up and leave you with a clear, empowering roadmap so you know exactly what to do next. Because staying strong isn't just about how you move today. It's about how you want to live tomorrow. When people hear the word muscle, they often picture toned arms or gym ads. But here's the truth, especially as we age. Muscle isn't about vanity. It's about survival. Because when you lose muscle, you're not just losing strength. You're losing the ability to lift yourself out of a chair, to catch your balance, to open a door, climb stairs, carry groceries, to live independently. And if we're being honest, you're also losing something harder to see: your confidence, your dignity, your freedom. Let's revisit Harold, the retired firefighter we met earlier. When he fell in the kitchen, it wasn't because he was clumsy. It was because his body had been quietly losing strength for years, and no one told him it could be prevented. It took that one fall for him to realize aging didn't take his strength. Inaction did. And once he understood that, he took it back, nutrient by nutrient, one step at a time. This is your moment of clarity. Muscle loss doesn't knock on your door. It slips in silently, and by the time you feel it, it's already stolen pieces of your life. But here's the hope. You don't need to accept that decline. You can fight it, and with the right support, you can reverse it. So where do you start? White Heavy checkmark, get your vitamin levels checked, especially vitamin D, B12, and magnesium. White Heavy checkmark, start a daily supplement routine with CoQ10, creatine, and vitamin C. White Heavy checkmark, add more protein, fruits, and whole foods to your meals. White Heavy checkmark, move, even gently, every day. Your body is waiting for a reason to rebuild. And here's a simple question to leave you with. 10 years from now, do you want to rely on others to stand? Or do you want to stand tall on your own strength? The choice starts today. If this video has sparked something in you, if it made you think of a loved one or of your own journey, let us know in the comments. What change will you commit to starting this week? And if you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep creating content that supports your health, your confidence, and your future. Thank you for watching, and remember, aging is inevitable, but weakness doesn't have to be.